father and son duo, Chase and Rylan White, live and hunt about 2 hours northeast of the proving grounds too, and they've tagged some dandy bucks throughout the years on their family lease. Chase and Rylan's lease is primarily high-graded hardwood timber with a few old hay pastures that they've converted into high-quality food plots. The deer have responded quickly to the increase of quality groceries in the neighborhood. Not only are Chase and Rylan seeing more deer than when they first started their lease, but for the age class of each buck, they're seeing larger antlers. While bow hunting this fall, they've seen some really nice bucks using their green cover seed fall release. As I mentioned, Chase and Rylan have added a lot of groceries and they're seeing more deer. That doesn't mean deer from 2 counties over are saying, man, all the groceries are over there. It means that deer that have a home range that overlap Chase and Rylan's property, well, those deer are probably spending more time on that lease because now they have better groceries. So with that increased activity on their property, they knew they needed to increase their doe harvest to help balance the number of mouths with the amount of quality groceries. When you have a bit more groceries than the deer herd can consume, that herd can reach its full potential. When you have a doe harvest goal, you start day 1, and Rylan tagged a big old doe opening afternoon of Missouri's archery season. Throughout the season, the White family has continued to work towards their doe management goal, including Chase's daughter, Reagan, tagging her first deer.
We got one down. I couldn't be more proud of her.
Even though they were harvesting does, Chase and Rylan were still looking for a buck. One of the bucks they were seeing on their Moultrie Mobile was a big, heavy 10-pointer. They had some history with this deer from years past, and they estimated he was 5 years old. During the afternoon of November 10th, Chase was self-filming out of the same stand Rylan had tagged a doe out of opening day, when a nice buck walked out and went head down feeding in the plot. During the rut, a buck could lose up to 30% of his body weight. For easy math, that could take a 200-pound buck down to 140. Deer are using a lot of calories, and seeing this buck coming out and grabbing a few bites of the green cover seed fall release told Chase that this buck was likely between receptive does and needing to replace some calories. What Chase didn't know as he watched this buck, and he later found out that night when he checked his Moultrie mobile app, was that just around the corner, further out in the plot where he couldn't see, there was a shooter buck that came out. When Chase put this together, that Moultrie mobile app and his encounter, that told him that the following afternoon he should probably be around this food plot because bucks were needing a little energy and they were coming in to feed. The next morning was the opening day of Missouri's firearm season, and Chase and Rylan decided to set up in a travel corridor rather than going into that food source. Going to a food source in the morning, it's likely deer are feeding and you could bump them before a shooting light. Rather, they wanted to back off and get in a travel corridor and hope to catch a buck cruising by. Sure enough, with good shooting light, they spotted antlers. This was a nice buck, and the closer he got to Rylan, I'd say he was pretty tempted to pull the trigger, but he was holding off for a more mature buck.
Growing Deer is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Also by Green Cover Food Plots, Winchester, Moultrie Mobile, Fleet Outdoor Apparel, Morel Targets, Fourth Arrow, Scorpion Venom Archery, Case IH Tractors, Ward Laboratories, Burris Optics, G5 Broadheads, Prime Bows, and Redneck Hunting Blinds.
That afternoon, Chase and Rylan went to a redneck blind overlooking that food plot Chase had hunted the afternoon before. This redneck overlooked the same trail that big shooter had come out into the plot, so they were hoping that buck or another buck would use that trail to come out to feed.
November 11th here in southern Missouri, it's the opening day of gun season. We saw a pretty good 3-year-old today. I decided to let him walk. We're hoping we have him catch a 4-year-old or just any mature deer cruising through here. Deer already in the field. It ought to be a good night.
It was still early when a group of does and fawns came out to feed out in front of the blind. Rylan had a doe tag in his pocket, but he was hoping the deer out in the plot would make a mature buck comfortable to come out during shooting light. As they were watching this group, a single doe came out of that trail that shooter buck had used the night before. As the doe fed, they spotted a nice set of antlers coming out of the timber. It was the heavy 10-pointer they'd been watching on their Moultrie mobile.
It's a chopper, Grandpa.
All right, you ready to smoke it? Whenever you're ready.
Ready? I'm gonna shoot him in the shoulder. Okay?
Let him clear that stuff.
Really?
Bust it. Got him.
Smoking?
Oh yeah.
Let's freaking go.
Yes.
As things calmed down in the blind and out in the plot, it wasn't long before that doe group came back out feeding.
Can I shoot him in the shoulder?
Yeah, Buster. That'll work.
I'd say that went pretty well. That was pretty successful hunt.
Team White had a lot of venison to work up that night, so they decided to go ahead, climb out of the blind, and start trailing for that heavy 10.
I just smoked a pretty good buck. We're gonna go find it real quick.
There he is, baby.
Look at the massive.
That is some heavy, heavy mass. We call this deer heavy 10 for a reason. Look at that.
It's opening day of rifle season here in southern Missouri. We've had a great day. I passed it with a 3-year-old this morning, happy I did. We had this 5-year-old buck. He was the palmated buck, and then we started calling him the heavy 10 because he has got some amazing mass. After I shot him, we actually had does pouring into the field, so I went ahead and took a management doe, and it's been a great time tonight.
Congratulations, Rylan, on tagging another great buck off the family lease. And I'm proud of you of doing your part to tag in does and help balance the number of mouths with the groceries on the lease. Thankfully, the boys didn't have to drag far because this was a very large-bodied buck. Chase shared that this was probably the second largest buck he had seen in his area, not only on the lease, but in his years hunting the Ozark Mountains. And I think that's a great testimony to the habitat work that they're doing on their family lease. Chase and Rylan are great examples of how improving habitat can increase the quality of hunting. I hope you're able to get outside this week. Maybe you have some doe tags to fill, or you're still looking for that big old buck. But no matter what, slow down, enjoy your time in creation, but no matter what, listen to the Creator and the purpose He has for your life. Thanks for watching Growing Deer.